Hello. This video is a little bit different, I guess. I can't really find the motivation to actually edit a gameplay video of any kind, so I figured I could just blab about a topic for a little while and just call it a day. So, the topic that I've been thinking about this week is guilty pleasures within media. You know, a show or a film or a game or even a musical artist that you love or you enjoy, but maybe it's not the greatest, or maybe it's morally dubious, or maybe other people don't have very high opinions of it. And not just guilty pleasures, but whether or not people's opinions of this piece of media affect your perception of it in any way. So specifically, when I first started thinking about this, it was not just all guilty pleasures. It was specifically guilty pleasures that I personally believe to be mediocre or average, but I like them anyways. And it's something that I think I end up doing a lot for one reason or another. I just don't really seem to have very high opinions of plenty of things I enjoy. For example, for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years, Post Malone has been my number one artist on Spotify, but I don't know how much I consider him to be a good artist. It's not that he's bad by any means. He's very good at what he does, and he's 100,000 times better at it than I'll ever be. But in terms of goodness to popularity, he's a pop artist who just kind of makes popular music, and he's a popular guy and he makes popular songs, but not that popular songs. Strangely enough, I find myself making fun of the fact that I'm a fan of his music all the time when I'm talking about what kind of music I listen to. It's like I'm anticipating that whoever I'm talking to doesn't have a very high opinion of Post Malone's music like I do, I suppose. And it's like I'm preemptively saying, yeah, whatever. Oh, I listen to Post Malone. Of course I do. Whatever. But even then, they don't normally respond negatively. They usually are like, yeah, I listen to some Post Malone. Like, everyone listens to Better Now or Wow or Congratulations. But I think I've only ever met one other person who, at least at the time, actively listened to more than just his most popular stuff. And that was the only person who asked why I loved his work so much. And for me, at least, it was just the fact that there was a Posty song for whatever feeling that I have. Like, if I want to listen to dumb, fun music, he's got that. If I want to listen to sad boy music, he's got that. If I want to listen to country, God forbid, unfortunately, he's got that. Like, ever since F1 Trillion, he's taken a backseat to Harry Styles or Sabrina Carpenter in my listening rotation, but he was still my number one artist in 2025. And then another example that I can think of is The Outer Worlds. Not Outer Wilds. I haven't played that yet, so perish the thought. The Outer Worlds. It's this Obsidian entertainment game that came out, RPG, action RPG, came out a few years ago. And at some point in time, maybe even still now, I consider that game to be in my top 5 of all time. And I remember one day at work, I said as much to my friend/coworker while we were trying to pass the time. And this mofo had the audacity to say to me, "That's in your top 5? I gotta introduce you to better games." And yeah, we laughed about it and I acted like I was super offended by it, but it wasn't the first time that I had heard that maybe that game was not as good as I thought it was. I heard it was impressively mediocre a few months after I first played it through various YouTube video essays. And by the time I made my friend/Grievous play it, I don't think I expected him to like it very much. But he did give it a 7.5, which is pretty good. Oh, funny. But what I think is weird about it, unlike Post Malone, who I just make fun of, I actually will argue a case for The Outer Worlds. Like, when I first played it, I don't think I was in the best mental headspace. And that wasn't helped by the fact that I was super addicted to Apex Legends in a way that was not healthy for me. I couldn't stop playing. I would play for 35 minutes. I'd have nothing but bad games, and I'd play for another 5 hours. And I wouldn't enjoy it a single time, and I'd do it again the very next night. It's like I mean, when I say I was addicted, I was addicted. And when I finally took a break from playing Apex, which is supposed to help me relax, a video game, I took a break from playing a video game that I'm supposed to be enjoying. The Outer Worlds was what I played, and it was such a breath of fresh air and actual relief from the second job I took on with Respawn Entertainment with Apex that it just shot up to the top of my list of games that I love. So it's always going to hold a special place for me because it was from a time when I couldn't stop myself from hating gaming because I couldn't stop myself from playing anything other than the third worst game in the world. And I want to talk very, very briefly about Jujutsu Kaisen. Yes, I think Jujutsu Kaisen is mid. Okay. People keep saying it's peak. It's not. It's mid. It's actually a pretty common hot take, which makes it lukewarm at best. But I didn't start off thinking that it was mid. I watched seasons 1 and 2 and then decided to read ahead in the manga. And once I started getting into the Culling Game arc, I was just kind of like, damn, this shit's so ass. Specifically, Hikari. I don't want to get into it, but I hate his ability, bro. I think it's dumb as hell. It probably makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It's dumb. He's dumb. I stopped reading after chapter 199, which wasn't anything crazy. I just didn't buy any more books. But I mean, season 3 has been pretty chill so far, so I might head back to my local manga store or read it online. And you know, as I was thinking about this more, I realized it's not necessarily the guilty pleasure that I care about. It's not thinking that something is mediocre but still liking it. That's whatever to me. It's more the reaction to someone else not liking it that matters to me. So I asked around to see if I was odd for getting defensive or whatever, and at least with most of my friends' experiences, the answer is yes. I don't know if everyone was lying, but no one else really seemed to care about others' opinions when it came to their guilty pleasure. Like, my friend slash boss thinks Nickelback is alright, but, you know, thinks the meme of them being reminiscent of the time is kind of funny, listens to them, doesn't really care what other people think. 2 other friends of mine, like Mass Effect Andromeda and Stellar Blade separately, for the gameplay, but they find the stories lackluster or not very engaging. They both think criticism of their game of choice is usually pretty valid and may agree, but will replay it all the same. When I started asking everyone about things that they felt better about, something that they did think was good, I got more of the reaction that I was expecting. My friend slash sister likes cheesy rom-coms and will get frustrated when people rate The Notebook, which is one of her favorites, lower on Letterboxd, because maybe they think the relationship between Noah and Allie was toxic, but they'll forget how young they were, and they'll forget that it's right after the Great Depression. That same boss of mine loves Yeet for his vibe and likes how he's grown as an artist and likes his lyricism, likes what he he doesn't think anything less of someone who dislikes Yeet, but he said, quote, "You're talking out of your ass," unquote, if you haven't listened to more than 1 or 2 of his songs in 5 years, and you're saying the same thing about, maybe he raps about the same thing, his lyricism actually isn't that good, like, you clearly don't know what you're talking about, you know? And I'll keep it a buck, okay? This is a video about Highguard, okay? I like it a lot, man. It's like not very good, but I don't know. I don't really care. Highguard, more like Midgard. No. More like high mid. Highguard, more like mid. The problem with this is the fact that unlike all the other examples that I gave, either from me or from my friends, I don't really care that much about Highguard. But I do. I think Highguard is kind of not good. There's other games I'd rather be playing, but I don't like the slander or libel. I don't know which one of it is when it's online that I'm seeing. I don't like that I'm seeing it. Like, I feel like the game deserves to get its fair chance. and it launched at a disadvantage because of the negative hype after the Game Awards, and it was sitting at mostly negative on Steam within a few hours after it launched. I saw someone post the same short negative meme in 2 subreddits for the game, calling it the most generic, bland, awful game they've ever experienced. Which, like, okay, yeah, this is pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm sure it only took them like 2 seconds to post, but how? How have you played video games before? There's so much dog shit out there. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Apex Legends, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege X. This was the worst game you've ever played. This was the most generic, bland, awful game you've ever experienced. But why do I care? Why should I care? I can just play the game I liked. Why does this random person's opinion on a free game affect me? Why am I mad about it? It's free. And if it shuts down, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to spend a dime on this piece of shit. Yeah, okay. I may have a problem. It's obvious hyperbole. Hell, I just called Apex and Siege dog shit games, but I played Apex for 2,000 hours across all platforms and Siege for 500 on console. I'll still play Apex on my own free will to this day, albeit less than I used to, and my friends can still get me on Siege about twice a year for a couple hours before I rage quit. So why is it affecting me? Why am I so frustrated? Well, I think, as humans, we hold our likes and our wants and desires in high regard because it's part of what makes us human. And when we share those things with others, it's a vulnerable thing to do. Even with things we only like mildly. You're saying to someone, hey, look, here's a part of me. This is part of my very being. This is who I am. So we write off critics as people who don't know what they're talking about, or they didn't give it a proper chance, or maybe they were setting out to hate it from the start. But it really isn't about them. It's about us. It's about me. I like High Guard. I shouldn't be ashamed to say so. Who cares what other people think? High Guard is Game of the Year 2026. If High Guard isn't Game of the Year 2026, I'll probably do nothing because who cares what others think? It's my Game of the Year 2026. But, you know, it's also the only new game I've played and it's 1 month into the year. And theoretically, GTA 6 is supposed to come out in November. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be a good contender. Who knows? Maybe it'll be trash. Or maybe it won't come out this year. That's more likely. That's very likely, actually. It's going to get delayed again. GTA 6 is coming out 2029. GTA 6 is coming out never. Don't expect GTA 6. Play High Guard. Download High Guard on your computer or Xbox or PlayStation right now. Anyways, that's it. I don't know, man. Let me know in the comments below if I'm crazy or if I'm overthinking people's opinion too much. Whatever you say, I'll probably get defensive anyways. Here's a couple funny photos I found saved while I was looking for my Spotify Wrapped. And don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your sort of thing, or even if it's not. I don't care. Do it. Please. Sayonara.